Welcome back to Viewer's Voice. In this episode, I'm going to talk about everything is what you make it. One, I'm not certain if I ever made a video about this. Probably something along the lines. Secondly, I feel like this is going to be like a perfect yapping point. So I'm honestly just going to let words flow out and not really care too much about how it comes. Just give you guys something to listen to, I guess you could say. But the broad idea about this topic is simply everything is perspective. And I know I made a video about perspective, but I want to say it again because I feel like I've been in more situations and I've heard about a lot more situations that people bring up to me. And truthfully, it's simply just how you make it. That's all it is at the end of the day. Cause the same person can find something funny, someone else can find it corny. The same thing that you might find like just you have joy in it. Someone can find that very unpleasant, and the list goes on. It all that matters about like who's looking at it and from what lens. So it's just like if you know there's a better lens to look at something through, it's like why would you choose the more rundown, scratched up one rather than the one that's like gonna have a better like give you the best viewpoint. But honestly, that's another thing too. There is no best viewpoint, unfortunately. Whatever works for you is the best viewpoint. That just goes for everything. Whatever fork you decide to eat with, whether you prefer a spoon, whether you prefer a plate over a bowl, whether you prefer wearing white socks or black socks, it really doesn't matter. But the point I'm trying to make here is like whatever works for you is what works for you. However, if you feel like there might be something that even though it doesn't feel better, still work better, go for that. Let's say like if you're in the games, there's always like a meta usually in the game. And honestly, a lot of metas don't even feel that great. I honestly hate majority of metas that are in games. But it's like if you know it's gonna work better down the road, it's like take it. Or vice versa. If the meta does not work for you and something completely niche does instead, do that. Well, like I said, at the end of the day, it's like you aren't really ever gonna find the answers within someone else's perspective, within someone else's um tangent, me included. So if you feel like you listen to me and you don't really get the answer that you seek, it's like that's probably because the answer that you're looking for are somewhere buried inside of you and buried inside your head or maybe in your heart a little more. You just gotta kind of go and search for it. Um, but I've been trying to like very much change my perspective up and change the way I look at certain things now because I know for a fact it's like there's so much that takes place in my life or has taken place and so many things and yeah, an abundant amount of things, for example, that just take place just usually aren't that positive as they could be, but honestly that's also how you look at it. I can go and say these things are horrible, there's always something going on, and that could be true, but maybe there's something always going on for a reason. Maybe there's something always going on because it's keeping me distracted from the bigger picture, or maybe keep me away from all the other crazy stuff that could be taking place instead. So I always gotta be appreciative for what's happening, even if I don't enjoy it that much, because I could promise you there's probably something way worse that could be going on. So that's like why am I gonna act like I hate this down to the T, knowing that something much worse could have happened to me and I could have been a lot more annoyed about that instead. So I still gotta be appreciative for though, even though it's like a trial and error kind of thing, there was a much worse trial I could have went through, you know. So it's just kind of like this is how you look at it. But if you're the kind of person that looks at it and like you just think everything that's happened to you is very directed and is very just the most worst thing that could ever happen to you in your life. I mean that's just how you look at it. But honestly, you don't want to look at it like that because like there's always something much worse out there. And that's just something I still have to teach myself nowadays too because bad things happen, but so do worse things, and those worst things unfortunately find other people that probably don't deserve or didn't deserve to have gone through those, but they did. So it's like if you know that they went through that and you kind of got off a little bit easier than them, it's like why would you sit there and you don't want to do that to the wrong person. Essentially, it's like you don't want to sit there and just like feel like your life is just god awful. Meanwhile, the person that you're talking to low key had it way worse. And honestly, at the same time, it doesn't really matter who had it worse. The same 6 foot water you could drown in, you could drown in 2 feet of that as well. Regardless of drowning, it doesn't matter if it's 2 feet, doesn't matter if it's 6 feet. So honestly, it's like you don't really want to just sit there and be like, "Oh, this person has it worse than me." I don't want to say anything to them. And at the same time, you don't want to be the person and be like, I gotta worse than this person. Who already talking to me like, like what they're going through is sunshine and rainbow. Like, who cares? You know. People experience pain very differently. So it's just like, you know, that's just kind of look at it. The same situation that they're going through that's really hurting you or hurting them, I mean, to that degree, to that level, is essentially equivalent to whatever hurts you. Even though, like, on a principle and a standpoint level, it's not the same thing. The pain is there. The pain is just, it's just that. Pain is not going to change. You know, so like if it really hurt them that much and that thing hurt you that much, just they're both leveled out. Doesn't matter if one lasts longer than the other. Doesn't matter if one at a standpoint level was worse than the other. It's like if it would have hurt this person to that degree, that's what it did, you know. And it isn't up to you, it isn't up to them to like kind of just judge that and be like, oh, you know, it was nothing. I mean, you could look at it like it was nothing, and honestly, that's a better way to look at it. But from like a outsider's viewpoint, don't be judgmental about it and just be like, why are they crying? You know, why are they acting like something atrocious just happened to them? Maybe something atrocious did happen to them. Maybe that was enough to bother them. It wasn't enough to bother you, but it bothered them. That's what it matters. So who cares, essentially? But at the same time, it's like I said, it's like you don't. I also mentioned this in like another video as well. It's like you don't want that very much. You don't want that same pain in those very situations to define you either. So don't have something like that happen to you and be like, that's me. You know, like that's the person that dot. You know, experienced that, did that. You know, like you don't want to be known for your trauma, for your experiences, for the bad things that happen to you. You want to be known for the good things. But at the same time, it's like don't let that fear of being known for something be the reason that you don't speak about it or don't address it. Because if someone does label you on for that, they label you for that. It's about how you label yourself at the end of the day. So who really gives a fuck if you tell somebody, oh, boom 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 happened, and then they look at you as the boom 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 person? Who cares? Cause if they're the type of person to even look at you based off of a situation rather than yourself and what you've taken from that situation, they're just a horrible person, point blank. Because no one should have that much judgment to look at someone and then immediately characterize them based off of their experiences rather than characterize them based on their actual characteristics. If you were bullied, if you were jumped, if something more severe happened to you, and someone looks at you like, oh, that's the person I got bullied throughout 6th grade to 9th grade, all of high school, whatever. That's the person that got jumped in the locker room or jumped in the bathroom, whatever. It's like, why are we looking at them for such a negative, probably even traumatic experience, rather than the whole opposite? You could spin that thing around completely. That's the person that did get jumped in the locker room, but then they still came out top of their class. They still pushed through. They still were the most, you know, they did all honors, or they did all honors, or like they were the most supportive person in the class, or just whatever the case may be. Like give them some flowers, give them some kind of credit. Don't discredit their whole being based on a negative experience that was way more negative for them. You're already looking at it as a negative thing, but trust me, it's way more magnified on their part. Same thing for the bullying. It's like, oh, that person was bullied all out of high school. However, they still outperformed every last person. They still came out to be way more successful. They still came out, let's say this person worked out a whole year and became bigger than their bullies. They did not decide to kind of switch the roles and reenact that same thing on them. They decided to be the bigger person, literally and, you know, figuratively, right? So it's just like this is all about how you look at it. But honestly, don't ever characterize someone based on their experiences. That's not how you want to. That's not how you want to treat them. That's not how you want yourself to be treated. I would hate if somebody looks at me and be like, "Oh, that's the person that's blah 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 blah." You know, can't get a proper relationship. You know, very naive, very optimistic for the wrong reasons, or just whatever. Like however you want to characterize me, label me. I would not want that on myself. Instead, I'm gonna speak highly of myself, and you should do the same. If I want to call myself or label myself as a king. You should do the same for queen, king, whatever title fits you, whatever title makes you feel more worthy, makes you feel feels like you, whatever really sticks to you and just makes you feel appreciate yourself. That's it. Just be appreciative of what you have going on. And you don't ever want to like talk down on yourself, because those words are important. The energy that you give yourself is the energy that you're gonna receive on the outside. You keep looking at like a polarity thing. Like, let's say you do receive good energy, but the energy that you emit from yourself is negative. It might actually just swap out the energy that you were supposed to initially receive, and it's gonna match your energy. So your perspective is everything. Things do so happen. Things will always happen, and sometimes things aren't as fortunate as like they could be. But your perspective is what makes it. Simply, things are as you make it out to be. That's what the video is, and that's all your perspective is about. Is how you can perceive something and make it a little bit different. If you see something negative and you can spin that on a more optimistic, positive viewpoint, that's a superpower essentially. Because most people aren't gonna do that. Most people are just gonna look at it and be like, "Oh, that's what it is. It's a negative thing. Might even be worse to some." But if you're still able to make good out that, that's already a trait that a lot of people unfortunately don't possess. And to kind of further that as well, it's like you give a lot of power to certain things that probably don't deserve power. But that's the biggest key point of it, is like you want to be aware of what you give power to and what you don't. So to kind of give like a perspective and like a little bit of a visual on this is let's say I had all orange here. Go for orange, right? If someone comes up to me and be like, "Oh, your orange here is disgusting. It looks horrible." It doesn't apply to me. My hair isn't orange, so it's like, why would I listen to what they say when it doesn't apply? Or even if it does, quote unquote, apply, it's probably only gonna apply if you think it does. So if someone comes up to you like your intellect is actually horrible. You are not smart for anything. You don't know anything, and don't act as if you do. If to you that is the case, it might come off as a lot more. That's gonna bother you a little bit more, you know. But if you know deep down, it's like that has nothing to do with me. That does not apply to me. That's not true. Who cares? Let it fly. That's what it is. If it does not apply, let it fly. Simple as that. So if you feel like, and I mean, it's a lot easier said than done, because some insults are obviously always gonna be more directed to something that you possibly are feeling, or something that is possibly more true than you like to admit, or maybe it's an insecurity, and then it just kind of like. It just kind of hurts a little more, you know. It kind of sticks a little more. I get that. Like I said, it's only gonna hurt and be as powerful as you allow it to be. So if someone does come from my exact appearance and what I'm physically am and what they can physically see and what they choose to attack, depending on what they try to say, it's like if I even agree with what they have to say, or if I give even a little bit of power to it, that's what's gonna make it fucking insult. But at the same time, it's like if I don't agree with what they're saying, if their words hold no weight to what I actually feel about myself or just in general, then it's like, who cares? Go ahead, say what you gotta say. But if deep down there's a little bit of part of me that's like, yeah, that could be true. That is how I feel already, and you're just kind of magnifying that quiet feeling a little bit more. It is gonna irritate me, and I'm not acting like you could just like completely you can just completely mitigate every insult. Like, you can't necessarily do that. I mean, you could if you were like really mentally, if you were there enough to just be like, yeah, none of this matters, and you were just like a I don't care person, and you could just take any words at you. You got it. Most people can't do that. I'm like me included. Like, I wish I could do that. Most insults I'm just gonna brush off. I know deep down, like they eventually might come back to me and be like, damn, this person really said that, and I low key agree. Or like, why do you have to say that? 'Cause I never thought about myself like that. So it's like that kind of brings a whole new. That brings attention to a whole new thing that I gotta be insecure about, or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it definitely does eat you up at sometimes. But that's at the same time, it's like, if you know deep down, it's like, who cares? It does not apply. It's not something that should be bothering you the way it does, and you should give it no power. You should give it no attention. You should give it no second thought. Don't let people say what they gotta say. Let people do what they gotta do. Cause that's all people are gonna do at the end of the day. And honestly, it's like, whether it's a good or bad thing, it's just like people are gonna do themselves. And the reason why I say that could be a good or bad thing, because sometimes you can't change somebody's actions, but at the same time, it's like you shouldn't really pay attention to what they're doing either, because that's dumb. It's not you. So the same way I'm gonna upload this video and just like let it do its thing, let people see it, let people make their own opinions and whatever on it. That's because I still gotta do me at the end of the day too, you know. So if someone looks at this, looks at this and be like, this sucks. This is corny. I don't want to engage with this. A lot of other people should be engaging with this. Cool. If that's your opinion, by all means, go with that. I don't even mind. You can have your opinion. You're entitled to think what you gotta think, and I can respect that. I'm still entitled to doing what I gotta do and doing what I believe works out for me. And if that's making a video and posting it, that's what I'm just gonna do. And for the right people, it might help them out. Like I said, I understand going on these tangents that make no sense, use a lot of repetitive words. I have a much bigger vocabulary. Yes, I just don't understand why. Like when it comes to being on camera, I try to like be more quick about what has to be said. So honestly, I don't really care for searching for other words that would fit better here. Just about like trying to be as more consistent on my speech. But yeah, it's like I still got to do what I gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do. Therefore, if someone just like, if someone has their opinion about that, if someone feels like they have to say something about that, or maybe do something about that when they shouldn't, it's like let them. You can only change someone's actions so many times, and you only give thought about it as much as you can. And honestly, it's not even worth it, because you're just gonna sit there like, let's see this video got a bunch of hate comments. I'm just gonna be, if I'm just sitting here like replying to all the hate comments, what does that get me? I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting my energy. I'm giving these people the reaction that they want. Whole time it's like I don't even care. I got what I got. I got what I gotta get done. I posted a video. You can by all means go see what you have to go say. But it doesn't, I don't have to respond to that. I don't have to give them any attention to that. They're still interacting with what I'm doing. So if you feel like you still, regardless whether it's hate or love, if you still have people looking at what you're doing, that's good enough. Who cares? People are still gonna engage with what you have to do, despite whether or not they like it. Regardless, what matters is you're still doing your shit. They're not. They're deciding to, instead of doing what they need to be doing, they're worried about what you got going on. You know? Like I said, that's all still part of how you make it out to be. You could look at that hate and let it eat you up, yes, or just look at it and be like, well, they're still showing me interest. They're still giving me attention, so that's something. You know? Yes, not all attention is good attention, but at the end of the day, attention is still attention. So it's like, you know, like I said, it's just how you look at it. Honestly, I don't really care for attention too much. Most of the videos don't even get any views for it, but I'm still gonna post it. You know what I mean? So that's me. There are a lot of people that do seek attention at a higher rate. Yes. But that's dumb. It's not me. So it's like if that attention is what they seek, if that attention is what they need, and if it's a good attention, then it's okay. That cool. As long as they ain't getting hated on, it's like, ooh, I'm not gonna bet an eye. But if you do feel like you seek attention and it's not the positive one that you should be receiving, then don't do that, I guess you could say. I'm about to sit here yapping now, so instead of doing that, let me just end the video. I appreciate all you guys listening and tuning in per usual. I'll see you guys in the next one.